Hello and welcome to this short clip about Boolean functions. Boolean functions are functions that checks whether something is true or false. So the result will be true or false or 0, 1 or 0. In this part we check whether a triangle is a right triangle or not. A right triangle is a triangle which one of its angles is a right angle or 90 degrees. So that like this. So one of the angles is a right triangle. So in this case, there's a theorem called a Pythagorean theorem, and it states like this, that a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. So it means that the square of this leg plus the square of this leg is equal to the square of hypotenuse, is the longest side. By this theorem, Pythagorean theorem, we can easily find out if a triangle is a right-angled triangle or not. So I've written a function by the name of is right-angled. So we check if, so the result of this function will be true or false, depending on the sides that we enter, depending on A, B, and C. So I choose a way that we a general way that the longest side can be A, the longest side can be B, or the longest side or hypotenuse can be C. So I use a general form. I do not use this form that says that the longest side is this. Maybe the longest side or leg is this one. So in this case, we have to be able to check whether this triangle is a right triangle or not. First, we have to have a result in order to be returned from at last. So result will be false from the beginning because we have not checked anything. And then we find out, in the beginning, we find out the square of all the sides, and then check which of them is the biggest. After that, we can change the result. So we write a squared because we cannot write squared like that. So I write a2, it means a squared. So we define three variables, b squared and comma three variables, and the square of all these three parameters will be saved to this c squared or c2. So this will be pow, which is a function in the math module that we have imported from the beginning. Import math. From math, import everything. Stars or asterisk means everything. So all the methods or all the functions have been imported from the math module. So we use this method or this function in the math module in order to make it easy for us. So we have a squared. So it means that this variable is a2 will be assigned to this value. This value will be a2, the square of a, and we have we copy this one and like this, and here we have a b squared and lastly c squared. So this is the square of a into power 2, it's b into power 2 and c into power 2. So these the squares are saved in these three variables. Okay, now we want to check whether which one of these are the longest side. Which one of these are the longest side? Because we could have done that this C is the hypotenuse and is the longest side, and make a method. So I want to make it a general, because maybe the user enters the longest side from the beginning at first, and then the last two sides. So I find out the maximum or the longest and then use the another function in the math module, which is called max, and which takes two or more than two parameters, and C. So we find the maximum of these three values, these A, B, C, the maximum of them. The maximum. So we see that assume that the maximum or the longest side is the hypotenuse. In this case, I want to now check whether one of these is the longest, is equal to the longest, and see if this is the case. If this is the case, it means that the square of the A squared plus B squared is equal to C squared, or B squared plus C squared is equal to A squared, or A squared plus C squared is equal to B squared. So in that case, this is the right triangle. So we check we have three conditions. First condition is we check whether longest is equal to A. So this is the first condition. We check whether this the longest side or the hypotenuse is A. And one other condition, we check as well if A2 is equal to B2 plus C2. As if this is true and this is true, so the result will be changed to should be changed to true. Okay, this is the first condition. So we check the same conditions for the other sides as well. So in this case, we check whether B is the longest, and whether B squared is equal to A squared plus C squared. So this is the second one, and in this case as well, if both of these conditions are true, if both of this condition is true and this condition is true, then the result should be true. Okay, at last we copy this and paste. And now we check whether C, the longest side is C, and C2, which is this one, and C squared, is equal to A squared plus B squared. So whether if this is true and this is true, then the result should be true. Otherwise, if none of these are true, so it means that the triangle is not a right angle triangle. So we should return the result. The result is false from the beginning, and if any of these conditions are true, the result should be changed to true. Otherwise, the result should be returned, and the result should be false. So this is our function. Let's check it and see whether it. So we have to go one step backwards in order to get outside this function. Otherwise, it will not work. So let's see. In this case, if I write then the is right angled. If I write like this and see write 3, 3, 4, 5, for example, if it will not give a result because the result is either true or false. So we have to print it in order to be able to see the result. So now I print it and see whether a triangle having the sides, the length of the sides 3, 4, and 5, whether it is a right triangle or not. I know it is a right triangle, but let's see if it gives the correct result. Okay, let's see what was wrong here. A longest. Okay, let's check what's the bad input on line 15. If longest is equal to a and a squared equal to it, there should be double equal signs in all the when we check something, so there should be double equal signs in all everywhere. So let's check it again. Okay, now the result is true. So it means that this triangle, that one side is 3, the other is 4, the third one is hypotenuse, this is 5. So let's see if we change the order. If we write 4 here, we write 5 here and write 3 here, so it should give the right result as well. Run it and the result is true. Let's give something else. If we write, for example, 2, let's see if it what it says. The result is false. So by this way we have written a Boolean function that checks whether a triangle is right angled triangle or not. So this is for today. Hope you liked it, and please subscribe and wish you happy coding.